Going on, buddy? We are live.
What's up? We're back. We're back.
It was a short week, Joe.
Maybe better than ever. Maybe not. How you doing, buddy?
I'm tired, but I've been in the backyard building a playground for 3 days.
Sounds like a worthwhile project.
Officially on step 40, 45, 47 out of 72. And I am sunburnt from earlobe to big toe.
Warming up here in East Tennessee.
It's hot. It is definitely hot.
Till it snows again.
Yeah, 90-something degrees. So, Joe, why don't you do the intro this morning? Because I got work calling. So, do the intro for us this morning.
It's a real fly-by-night organization over here. Welcome in to another episode of the Turn Fancy Golf Pod. We're glad you're with us. We're live. We're streaming on Twitter, streaming on YouTube. Share that with your friends if you can. We're back after a week off for the Zurich Classic team event. We just didn't have it in us, guys. We love golf and we love DFS, but the team event's just a bridge too far for AP and I this year. Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele took that one down in New Orleans. So congrats to those guys. Something different, and it's fine if you like it, but I took the week off, AP. I'm assuming you did as well, man.
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about. I'm back, by the way. I'm back. Little work call I had to take care of. Let's talk a little bit about that first of all, Zurich. I tried to, Joe. I tried to get into it, tried to watch it. There's only word can describe it for me, and that's unwatchable. The golf course, pretty decent little golf track. It's unwatchable in my opinion. I don't know if it's maybe the way that the teams are formed. I really don't know do they just make their own? Do they just do the top 75 guys get to kind of choose who they play? I mean, how does it work? I mean, do the top 70 get invited and it kind of goes from there on out and you get to invite somebody? Does anybody actually know how these teams are formed?
I don't, man. I don't. I think it's just it's kind of a free for all event. I mean, we got Bill Haas playing with his dad Jay, who's 68 years old, and they make the cut. We got Jason Day playing with the guy I've never really heard of. And we got a couple powerhouse teams in Schauffele and Cantlay who took it down. Hovland Morikawa kind of come up short. Ron Palmer's master plan of continuing to pair up with the number one player in the world didn't work out this year, even though it has in the past for him. So yeah, man, it's just to be honest, I view it as it's a bye week for your favorite football team. That's kind of how I view it. Take the week to rest up, kind of regroup, recharge, get ready we got a big couple months ahead, AP. We got a major coming up, the PGA, 2 majors over the next 2 months. We got a brand new event this week in the Mexico Open, which we're going to dive into and talk about a little bit tonight. Wells Fargo next week, which is always a big event. So just kind of utilized last week to chill out. I didn't even try to watch it, man. Just one of those things. I wasn't going to even try to get into it. So happy to be back this week. We're going to dive into this new event, new course, go through the DraftKings slate with you. And it's good to be back.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to talk this. You want to give a little plug for Rotoballer while we're at it, right before we get into the slate? Yeah,
we're killing things over at Rotoballer, man. Our team over there is amazing. We're led up by Spencer Aguiar, our award-winning senior analyst over there. You can check out his Vegas report. That's part of our premium content. We've also got Josh Bennett, who's doing some amazing things right now. A lot of you know from Twitter. Josh does a course breakdown for us each week. A couple of new additions. My guys Rob and Byron are absolutely killing it. They've been terrific additions to the team. So go over to rotoballer.com, It's $69.99 for the rest of the year. Unbelievably cheap. We hope and pray that you will comparison shop against some other sites. So you can use our promo code TURN, TURN, and get 10% off that already cheap price. So go to rotoballer.com, sign up for the PGA Premium. That'll take you through the Tour Championship.
Thank you, Joe. Rotoballer.com, best place in the world for daily fantasy needs. Don't forget that promo code is TURN, 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 when signing up for the PGA Premium. On to the Mexico Open. I'm going to butcher all kinds of stuff. I did some research actually on the golf tournament over the weekend. Not to be confused with the World Golf, the WGC Mexico Open that they had a few years back, or they've had for a few years now, probably since maybe 16, 15, somewhere in there. I was going to take it back, 18. So I guess is that event going away? I don't know, but this is new on the schedule. However, this golf tournament is not new at all. This tournament originated in 1944. It's hosted just about every tour that you could think of. It started out with, I think it was, let's see here. Yeah, it started out with this tournament used to be played at the golf club of I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. Anyway, the event was held at the tour. It's hosted the Challenge Tour, the European Challenge Tour. It's hosted it's been a nationwide event. It's been a PGA Tour Latino America. And it's been held at several different golf courses. I believe this is a newer golf course from everything I've researched. Joe, as far as that goes, do you want to, before you talk a little bit about the golf course, even though this has not always been a PGA Tour event, it's interesting. There are some pretty well-known names that have won this tournament back in the 90s when it was a TLA, which was the Tour de los Americanos. Americas. So, I'm going to go back and read off some of that. I mean, you had like Jay Haas, Fred Funk, John Cook, Stuart Sink, Frank Nobilo. So, I mean, there's also obviously Esteban Toledo, who's won 4 times on the Champions Tour. And so, I mean, there's been a lot of play here by a lot of good players over the years. It's just that we're, as viewers, probably not as well known. And I don't even know anything about this golf course they're playing it at. So if you want to tell us a little bit about the golf course before we get into the slate.
Yeah, man, we're kind of guessing this week, AP, when it comes to this golf course. Brand new, the first time we're seeing it, first time these players are seeing it. Vidanta, it's in Mexico. Pretty lengthy, man. They've tried to get this thing ready for the PGA Tour. This is a resort course. So, we kind of know what comes with that. We've seen several over the years. We see several throughout the schedule. These resort type courses, which is really made and designed for tourists to be able to come, relax, play, and get around the course. So of course the PGA Tour guys generally light these places up. I expect that to be the case this week again. Although they have tried to make it a little tougher. They've added a couple of 100 yards. Normally plays at a par 73. But this week, it'll be playing at a par 71, almost 7,500 yards, 7,456 yards. They've added some bunkers in, pass pile them throughout. Something we see kind of in Central and South America. We see it at Mayakoba. I see it at a couple other courses. So I expect these guys to light this course up. This is a Greg Norman design. We've seen several Greg Norman designs kind of peppered throughout the schedule in recent years. Not a lot of similarities to Mayakoba. That's where a lot of people might want to go. Another golf course in Mexico designed by Greg Norman. But I think we're looking for a different skill set this week than what we usually target at Mayakoba. I'm looking for bombers, man. I think there's plenty of room off the tee to operate on these resort type courses. I think distance is going to play a big factor. It will be a big advantage this week, AP. The last time we talked, we were breaking down Heritage in Harbortown. And that's one of the few courses where we're willing to throw distance out the window. And this course is almost the exact opposite. And that I'll be giving a ton of weight to driving distance this week. I think the Bombers will have a noticeable advantage. Always, of course, strokes gained approach, very important. I'll be looking at birdies or better gain, guys that can go low. And the only thing that might slow these guys down, this golf course is exposed to the wind. So, if the wind picks up for over a couple of days, it might give these guys a little bit of trouble, but I expect them to go low this week, AP.
Yeah, and this event was a nationwide event for the past, I think, 3 or 4 years. And so while many of the players in this field have played in this event before, this is a completely new venue. As far as I know, I don't know of any tournament golf on this venue before for this week. Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally new, man. Nothing to kind of go back and look at. As you mentioned, the actual event has a lot of tradition behind it. Used to be the Mexico Open, their national open. So, a deep, rich tradition kind of behind this event. They got some money behind it now. Got with the PGA Tour, kind of wanted to make a course that was playable and a challenge for these guys. So this will be the first time here, and we're really guessing as to what to expect.
Right. So let's just start guessing or stop guessing and get to the slate, Joe. Patrick, a 10K and above. Patrick,
it's a doozy.
Yeah. Patrick Reed, Kevin Na, Abe Answer, Finau, John Rahm, 10K and above. With building models this week, I feel like they're going to be pretty hard to nail down without much course description other than bombers and birdies. So, I mean, you have to love John Rahm here. However, maybe he doesn't, he usually has a bigger advantage on the field. When the scores are a little bit, when the golf course is a lot tougher, you see where he's won Torrey Pines and Memorial, US Open. It seems like that the tournament really favors him against the field when the scores are, what's a tougher golf course, not necessarily a harder, a lower score golf course. So, John Rahm is obviously better than anybody in this field. It ain't even close. But like you said, you're going to have to get hot with a putter. I really don't like any of these guys. The only person I would consider playing is Patrick Reed, but there's no way I'm rostering him at the 10K price range. So let's X all these guys off the list for me, Joe.
Yeah, it's really tough, man. These aren't guys. While there's some names up here, Patrick Reed, Tony Finau, and Abe Answer, these are guys that are priced based on kind of name value, really more so than what they've done this year. For the most part, these guys have struggled throughout 2022, with the exception of John Rahm, the only player above 11K, and really far and away, man. As you said, the class of this field this week. This almost reminds me of like back in the day, Andrew. I'm sure you remember where you could like bet Tiger against the field. That's kind of the vibe I get with John Rahm this week. But as you mentioned, there's some things to be concerned about a little bit here. Where's the ownership going to be? This is Monday night, so a little too early to kind of wrap our heads around that. But you have to figure if folks are paying up this week, they're just going to go all the way to the top and go with John Rahm. And as you mentioned, we expect this thing to be a birdie fest. Not exactly Rahm's strong suit. We saw him kind of complaining earlier in the year at the Amex about those type of layouts, and I certainly think that's what that's going to be this week. So, while yes, he is head and shoulders above the rest of this field, it's not difficult to find ways to fade John Rahm this week. But he's the class of this field, likely going to be fighting for the win. But in DFS GPPs, can you roster him at a huge chunk of ownership, which I'm looking for this week? I mean, I don't know. It's maybe one of those things where you make a calculated fade. I can't see myself going with Reed. Can't see myself going with Kevin Na up there, even though he's played solid golf. We mentioned Tony Finau's taken a noticeable step back this week. So there are certainly some concerns. As we go down into the nines, there are some players I like. Gary Woodland is probably where I'm going to be starting a lot of lineups this week. I'm not normally a Gary Woodland guy, but the form's been good. I think this will be a good fit for him. He grades out first in strokes gained approach over recent rounds. Has looked much improved, looked healthy this year. He had a great Florida swing. Did miss the cut at the Masters. That's not something I'm concerned with. He's historically struggled at Augusta National. So I really like where Gary Woodland is at the moment. Chris Kirk is another player that we like to play. This price tag on Cameron Champ is pretty gross, man, but I do think his distance will be a huge advantage this week. I like the way he looked at the Masters. Aaron Wise is another guy that's extremely strong off the tee. So I think there's some places you can go in this 9K range. What are your thoughts on that, man?
So 9K, strangely enough, I believe that Aaron Wise is going to grade out very high this week against this field, which is kind of crazy for me. I'm not. I know Aaron Wise was looked upon as a all-world talent coming out of college. We haven't seen much flashes of that. However, we know that the ball striking is there. So really, just a mediocre putting week. I could see him climbing the leaderboard. I love Chris Kirk and Tringale in this field, Joe. They can make a lot of birdies. I like Russell Knox and Brendan Todd's game, but I don't know if I'm going to like them this week. So other than that, maybe Matt Jones splash around in there. This is going to be a wild GPP all over the board kind of field. And really, we haven't brought this up yet, and I'm sure we're going to say it over and over again. This will be a light week in the DFS world all around just because of the unknown. So, Wise, Kirk, Tringale maybe for me here. Tringale's still waiting for that breakout win, I think, or breakout week. He's gotten a little bit here and there taste of it, and look forward to him winning soon. I don't know if it's this week, but, those are my three here in 9K.
Yeah, can't argue with any of those, man. I'll be mostly focused on Gary Woodland. Not all in on any of the other guys in the 9K range, although I do think you'll probably have to go here this week. I will say, you mentioned the unknowns. I think it was our buddy Tambo, Tyler Tambolini. I think I saw a comment he made on Twitter, I guess earlier today, about weeks like this when there kind of are a lot of unknowns. It seems to be that most people kind of gravitate towards the same guys, and ownership gets really concentrated. So chances are we're going to see a couple of different pockets kind of throughout this salary scale get very, very popular this week. So, if ever you're going to kind of keep an eye on ownership and maybe let that dictate what you're doing a little bit, this is the top of the week where I'd be willing to do that. So just, throwing it out there. Really nice thoughts from Tambo. And I echo that sentiment this week when it comes to, the ownership kind of pulling up and pivoting off that.
Yeah, so let's move on to the 8K range, Joe. Thigala, Doug Gim, Aaron Rye, Ortiz, Riley, CH3, Lanto Griffin, Moore, CT Pan, Hubbard. Name that really sticks out to me, really weird. Mark Hubbard hasn't got hardly any starts this year.
On the PGA Tour.
On the PGA Tour. He's had some pretty good success on the Corn Ferry Tour. He slides right in here to this tournament. He's at 8K. That's a little weird, right? Also, I remember the last few years, high-scoring events, he seems to pop up in the leaderboard, easier style of golf courses. I don't know if anybody's going to be rostering Mark Hubbard this week, but I like the way it feels at 8K, even though there's no remnants of reasoning of why he should be 8K in this field. I don't care how weak the field is. He's only got 4 or 5 starts this year. I like it. I like the 8K range. I like to go against the grain. I think Thigala will be a big a big ownership play here. Davis Riley, big ownership here. I don't know where to go. This is going to be the most unknown. You're going to hear a lot of I don't knows this week from everybody. I'm making a stance with Mark Hubbard. I think y'all has let me down the last few weeks. Davis Riley, I like pretty good. However, I will say this: I feel like we've concentrated so much on like tough golf courses. You know, we looked for grinders and great ball strikers. I kind of have to change my mind moving into an event like this. Yep. And birdies are better is just going to be a huge marker in building models this week. So Mark Hubbard, Davis Riley for me in the 8K range.
Yeah, man, I really love a lot of what you said right there, man. I think that's such a nice kind of sentiment to keep in your head this week as you start building lineups. There is that changing gears, man. We're coming off, you know, as you mentioned, a really tough stretch in Florida, where we're kind of looking for guys that are able to grind it out. We know what the Masters brought, kind of with the length of that golf course and the conditions this year. We know that Harbor Town is, you know, the opposite of a bomb and gouge birdie fest. So we're changing gears a little bit this week. So I 100% agree with you. And to kind of circle back around to Hubbard and his success on the KFT this year, I don't mind kind of looking for these younger guys. Because I mean, what happens on the Korn Ferry Tour, AP? These guys go out and light it up every single week. You have to make birdies in order to have a chance to win on that tour, in order to survive on that tour. So I'm really willing to look at these younger guys that have found some success on the KFT Tour. Because, I mean, if we're being honest, this is almost a Korn Ferry Tour level field and golf course. So in a week of a lot of I don't knows, I'm gonna plant my flag with Davis Riley right here at 8,500. I think the kid's explosive. He's extremely talented, probably more talented than his $8,500 price tag when considering the depth of this field. I know he's young, and young guys are volatile and young guys are erratic, but you know, I like the talent. I like the way this is going to set up for him. We saw him play with his old roommate Will Zalatoris last week in New Orleans and play really well. I think they had a top 5. So you know, in a week where it's tough to make decisions, I'm in on Davis Riley. I'm with you on Tagala. Also, like him a lot, he sticks out, and I'll grab some Mark Hubbard exposure as well. So you know, this 8K range is very interesting, and it's where I'm going to start kind of taking some stands this week.
I like it, Joe. Moving on the 7K range, probably a lot to like here, to be honest with you. I like Chad Ramey. I like Austin Smotherman, former winner of this event, but not this golf course. I don't hate Scott Stallings on this golf course, Joe. We love Patrick Rogers on this kind of track. Have kind of a down year so far, but still like it. Alex Smalley, love him this week, Joe. Grayson Sigg, stay far away from RCB. Brandon Wu, not a fan of him on this style of track. Tyler Duncan played pretty well last week that we were on here at RBC, but I don't necessarily love him here. I want him on a little tougher track. Like Kramer, pretty good. You know, you're like you said, young guys make a lot of birdies, hit the ball a long way. That's where we're at. I just felt like I just probably named off the 5 or 6 that hit the furthest and make the most birdies. So that's just look for, you know, driving distance, birdies, par 5 scoring. You know, that's what I'm looking at. So that's the guy that I see. Maybe throw a little Chase Seifert in there. He has not had a great year at all, but we know he can play some golf too.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of the guys that I like as well. I'll throw out Chad Ramey there at 7,900, a guy we saw a win several weeks ago in Corrales. I think there's some kind of interesting crossover this week with this golf course and the Corrales golf course. Also the PR Open, probably some crossover there. You know, this past Parliament really kind of negates any type of advantage on putting. So, you know, I'm willing to lean ball strikers in this situation. And as you mentioned, guys that can make birdies. So Ramey's coming up off the KFT Tour, already has a win on a similar type of golf course. So I like him. Austin Smotherman's another young player that I'm willing to take a stab with this week. And you mentioned our kind of our hometown boy, a favorite on the show, Scott Stallings. We know the pedigree he has, maybe a better type of pedigree than the rest of the players in this field. We saw him play really well on another Greg Norman golf course at Valero a few weeks ago, had a top 20 there. Also had a nice outing at the Valspar. So, his form is streaky, but I like his ability off the tee. I like what he'll be able to do this week. So let's circle the hometown boy, Scotty Stallings. Wyndham Clark's another bomber that can get hot with the putter. So that's a player I'm looking at. You mentioned Alex Smalley, a guy, that I always like to kind of look at. There's some upside there. He had a runner up at Corrales. So I like Smalley's upside. and a guy I've kind of been on, when we start zeroing in on ball strikers, Adam Svensson. The putter is extremely bad, but as I mentioned, I think that's going to be offset a little bit this week by the Paspalum greens. He's coming off a T26 at Hilton Head a couple of weeks ago. So I like Svensson. Tyler Duncan's been around an end of the form. Had a T12 at the Heritage, top 30 at Corrales. So, in this type of field, man, at 7,200, really like the type of upside that Tyler Duncan has. So, there's some places to go here in the 7K range. Nothing you really feel tremendous about. But there's certainly some options with upside, and that's what it's all about this week, AP. Is just trying to find upside, man. The volatility is going to be there. We don't really know how this course is going to play. The field's really weak, which also increases the volatility on a slate. So chasing upside, man.
Yeah, so Joe, when we get down to the 6K ranges, I feel like there's a couple names Lee Hodges has not had a consistent year. He's had a good year, I would say, but not a consistent year. Hayden Buckley. I feel like I'll be pulling out names that we've heard a splash out of, maybe at the end of last year, but maybe haven't seen fully. Or I guess I say end of last year, it was actually the beginning of this year because the years run together now. But Lebiota, that's another name that we've kind of heard of. Andy Novak, people have said that he is the next real deal. But I don't think there's a ton of names in here. Maybe Robert Garrigus, since he's got that off his chest. He's he played pretty good last week, so that's a name maybe we want to throw out there. He's a bomber. He's a bomber, Joe, and he can literally shoot nothing. He gets the putter actually going. So other than that, there's not a ton of names I like down the 6K range at all, to be honest. I think there's maybe some guys that can get hot, but there's nothing really to like down here past 7K. It's already, you're kind of throwing a dart anyway with this whole field. I don't know if we need to get down the 6K range to be throwing darts.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, man. As you get below 7K, we mentioned kind of the weakness throughout the salary scale, and man, that's especially true. Really hits home when you get down here below 7K and start trying to evaluate these guys and maybe find a diamond in the rough. Just not a lot there. You mentioned a couple guys. I'll toss out a couple. Hayden Buckley, a guy that's had an uneven year but has demonstrated some upside from time to time. Really good Corn Ferry Tour player last year, so you feel like he can go out there and make a lot of birdies for you, even though he's been pretty uneven as of late. You mentioned Hank Lebiota. Had a really good stretch last year, man, and has really struggled throughout 2022. We haven't seen much out of Hank lately, but we know the ability to get hot is there. Same can be said for Trey Mullinax, another player that played really well on the KFT last year and has had a couple of moments this season, but it's just tough to hang your hat on any of these guys, AP. I 100% agree with you, man. I don't know that I'll be dipping down here very often this week.
So yeah, Joe, now we've told nobody anything definite this week so far. Let's go ahead and do the heart and dart and get out of here and watch the Mexico Open. First and foremost, I honestly, before we get into this, I want to say, I'm glad that this event's on the PGA Tour. It's their National Open. Not that I have any distaste for the World Golf Championship event, but this is pretty neat that their National Open here is now on the biggest tour in the world. I like that. I think it's important that we do more of that worldwide stuff here with the PGA Tour. And I think obviously with the competitive nature now that has been rising up behind the scenes with World Middle Eastern Tour, whatever, we want to call it, I think we're going to see a lot more worldwide events. I see that in the future. The PGA Tour is evolving to that. So happy the Mexico Open is now a part of the PGA Tour. So, Joe, who do you like as far as your dart play of the week? It might be in the 9K range, Joe.
That's what I was gonna say, man. How high are we allowed to go on the dart play?
Dart play of the week, 10K. Patrick Reed.
Oh man, this is some kind of slate right here. Some kind of slate right here, man. I'll toss out. I want to toss out a couple because it's a darty kind of week. I'll toss out a couple guys we already talked to. About as far down as I feel comfortable going is the low 7K range this week. Tyler Duncan kind of jumps out for me down there. So I'll put a little check mark beside his name, and then a guy you mentioned up at 8K, Mark Hubbard, could be sneaky this week. What about you, man? Where you covering your eyes up and throwing your dart?
Dart play of the week, 7,100. Joseph Bramlett hits the ball pretty good. He can obviously rattle off birdies. We've seen him win an event by 7 shots, I believe. Another guy that if you want to splash around in, but do not splash very deep because you will drown, Nate Lashley. He gets hot. He makes a lot of birdies, but wouldn't ever, maybe Bramlett's a little safer play than the other. Also like the Alex Smalley guy. That's probably my 3. This is such a darty week anyway. As far as who do I think is going to win? I feel like we see a first-time tour winner here. That's more of like a bold statement than a where's your heart at. So if you start at the top and go down, who has not won on tour? Abe Answer?
He's going to win. He won last year.
Yeah, he won last week. Yeah, you're right. You're on last week. Yeah, or last year. Yeah, WGC. That ain't going to be Sebastian. I don't know, Joe. Who do I think is going to win? Chris, no. I don't want. I'm going down through here, Joe. I don't really see anything I like. Davis Riley, 8,500. He's going to win.
Yeah, that's my man. That's my man too. I really like Davis Riley this week. That's my heart play. Just want to kind of go with the young guy with a ton of talent, can make birdies, and Riley kind of checks that box for me. I'll throw Tagala out there too, and kind of the opposite of what you were saying. We think there might be a first-time winner this week. What about a guy that just pops up and wins? When he plays well, he usually wins. And this is the type of track that he's done it a lot on. Cam Champ, man. I don't know how much I can get there at 9,400, but for some reason, I'm just really interested in him this week.
Yeah, he looked great at Augusta. I watched him play third round, I think it was, when he shot 71. I think in that freezing weather, played great, hit it amazing. I'll tell you what. I don't know that there's ever going to be like a huge indicator of form with him. I don't know that you're ever going to feel great when you put him in there and pull the trigger. But I mean, we know the tournament winning upside's there. It's just kind of trying to guess what random week it's going to show up. Maybe this is that type of tournament. Yeah, I mean, tournaments he's won have been against similar fields like this. So that kind of fits the MO. I'm gonna go. I'll go since you also like Riley. I'll say Chad Ramey. This is a very similar field to the PC that he won earlier this year, where he ran down Martin, I think it was, and he ran down Ben Martin. Yeah. So I'm gonna throw. I'll say Chad Ramey. Makes sense. Bombs it off the tee. So there you go. That's mine. Davis Riley, Chad Ramey. Joe, we had a short week off, short two. We went 9 straight days of stream, or 9 out of 10 days of stream. Then we took a week off. And we come back to an event we know nothing about. I'm looking forward to actually watching a little bit of this, to check this golf course out, to check this tournament out. Looking forward to it. Mexico Open. Joe, I appreciate it. Thank you, rotoballer.com, for everything you do. If you're going to sign up for the PJ Premium, use the promo code TURN when signing up, $69.99 for the rest of the year. He's Joe Nicely, Andrew Putters. You have listened to the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast, brought to you by Rotoballer.